Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, the PlayStation 5 Pro rumors are heating up pretty heavily once again. Now, as you guys probably have seen on the occasional video on the channel itself, we keep on getting little baby droplets and inklings of news of what we're expecting the PlayStation 5 Pro to be. Now, once again, I do think this is going to be coming sooner rather than later. I do think a lot of the expectations for this year are still seeming likely. There's always that chance to get pushed back a little bit, but as well, we have an entire year of like 10 more months to kind of go and sit back and see if the Pro even comes out. But right now, we're now seeing a bigger bump of information. Mainly now the fact that apparently Sony has been now sending out like the specs and basically like, so whenever you have a big company, let's say like PlayStation, they want to make something like a console. So what do you kind of do if you have to have like a rough idea of like minimum specs, maximum specs? So people that are working and developing and making games can make games. Well, you have to go and tell them what it is, and apparently that's what's now been leaked as of right this second. So we're going to go talk about the actual specs that are apparently allegedly, now also once again not confirmed until Sony does it and says it publicly, but the specs, some more expectations, and everything else, and apparently now confirming that other outside companies have now essentially confirmed the existence is real. So if you guys will sit back, relax, and enjoy, make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch room down below if you guys want to follow us. We have the Weeble links too as well if you guys want to sign up and get a bunch of free stock. You might just instantly withdraw, do whatever, and let's go and dive on into the video itself. So as of right now, we've been seeing a lot of leaks, seeing a lot of rumors, a lot of leaks, and now we're kind of seeing a lot of intriguing stuff when it comes to the PS5 Pro. Now, there's been a lot of just information with it, where as we go when we see this, we're now just basically, like I said, we're hearing other companies basically confirming they're gonna get it. We're seeing a lot of other like people like that are using it, like they're quite literally using these specs. So I'll show you my webcam back on. And when we go and see this type of stuff, this is good. It's the same that we've been seeing for the PlayStation 5 and Xbox and Switch, is whenever we see developers getting information, that just adds up the likelihood of this being real. Now, same thing with Switch, where Switch was apparently being shown, like showcased, and people are having a chance to have a hands-on with the Switch 2 Super Switch. Now, this also has now confirmed that third-party publishers are being briefed on the PS5 Pro specs. And this has now apparently been flown around a little bit, because we've been hearing the rumors in the PS5 Pro for a little bit as well. Quoting and stating, "I was told explicitly by someone that works at a mid-sized third-party publisher," so like not like a little baby one where the leaks are unlikely, like a somewhat probably at least like over 100 plus people working at their company publisher, that they're now being given a presentation for the PS5 Pro. And I understand that first parties and second parties have already had access to the specs of what they're aiming for, and we've also heard these before. Now, once again, sometimes these like leakers and rumor speculation, rumor mills, whatever, could always be just keep on bouncing on information from other folks, which is why you get a lot of PS5 Pro videos. If you see future ones, like we're just kind of giving you guys updates, I guess, or information on it. So if you guys like that, subscribe. If not, I get it. But I try not to clickbait too much. I feel like whenever it's kind of big. So basically, right now we have the first party folks. So think like the people that are making the Uncharted, Last of Us, Ratchet and Clank, God of War, Horizons. That's obviously like Sony. Like those are the Sony boys. Like they're gonna get all the information and details. They probably know a lot more, like especially the executives and directors, than we ever would, like without any doubt at all, like without any doubt. But as of right this second now, this is where the leaks kind of a little bit more proper, because you have like the actual Sony people. If the Sony people are having no issues with it, then you start sharing with the other people, and that's like typically where NDAs aren't as big, or like people don't mind, or they're not like directly linked to Sony, so they might have a little bit of a chance to leak out some other stuff. But we're now seeing a lot more of these rumors over here too, where it's like the rumor for the PS5 specs, we'll have a little bit more on top of this, saying we'll have at least 60 to 64 CUs. So the PS5 currently has 36 CUs, while the PS4 had 18, so like a somewhat bigger jump. Graphically power will be up to be 50% greater than the PS5 base model, just for a good frame of reference, and many games can run at 60 FPS with higher resolutions than 1080p. And now when we kind of see all this type of stuff, we've talked about this, where it's like you want to have a big enough improvement that makes people want to get the PS5 Pro. I'm going to show my boy Cheat over here just because I haven't had a chance to talk about him for a little bit. But basically over here has also Sony is letting third-party publishers know about the PS5 Pro specs. So these are the more specifics out here for folks that want to know, which is going to be the custom 8-core AMD Zen 2, which ups to 4.4 gigahertz, which we've actually seen some of these numbers floating around, so it does kind of seem like they're not necessarily rehashing per se, but like existing. They have 16 gigabytes of basically DDR6 RAM, and also I want to have 500 megabytes of DDR4 RAM too as well for background tasks, and we've talked about this on prior videos where that's kind of more on the operating system. So when it comes to that, that's kind of like, hey, like you have like you turn on your console, it has the boot screen, has like the welcome to PlayStation, the cool like UI, the elements behind the console, like just the operating system. Whereas like you want to go to the store to go look at the options, see what's on sale, the ads, like the little pictures before you launch games, like the UI, the settings, like all of that is technically its own operating system. And then you go and have all of that out there for background stuff. And then you have a somewhat separate DDR6 RAM, which is way better. Way nicer, more optimized, and also bigger, because apparently, like, 512 megabytes is basically like 1/32th third of what it would be for like the 16 gigabytes. So basically, it's like a really small thing just purely for the operating system, which is fine. You don't really need much. You just have to be able to go boot the console, make it work good, and that's kind of good because it takes the load off of the bigger stuff for the games. There's one I have the custom AMD RDNA 3 with at least the 56 CUs as well, up to 3.8 gigahertz, and that's basically just saying they have a custom AMD basically chip that's being made. Now, AMD, I do believe, has been selected as the supplier and maker for the PS5 Pro and also future consoles like the PS6 and such. For PlayStation, not fully confirmed, but it seems like all the leaks is that PlayStation did decide to go work with AMD, while Xbox was trying to go talk with NVIDIA and Intel to see if they can make their own individual updates, and I believe NVIDIA is also working with the Nintendo Switch, as of confirmed. So they are kind of like somewhat spreading themselves on out. We've talked about that in prior videos, but it does kind of seem like all their custom chips are kind of leaning towards PlayStation working with AMD and having like somewhat stronger business relation, where they kind of like, we're like, yeah, like it's worked good before, we're the number one console seller, we'll keep on giving you guys good business, while things like, say, Microsoft, Xbox, and all of them were a little bit on the sketchier side. And they also do want to have their display pushed up to 8K too as well, and that kind of goes back to a lot of folks trying to push into the higher resolutions, where a lot of people are trying to still get the standard 2, the PS5's, like at least 30 at 1080, are like 60 at 1080 and 30 4K, and they want to try to go push this higher resolution to at least like 60 4K. We were seeing some rumors on prior videos that GTA 6 might be trying to push for 40 FPS at like 4K. So it's really intriguing because it is going to be a graphical improvement, but it also might seem nominal, mainly because 1080p is usually a pretty good standard, and a 4K 30 to 4K 60 is a still big jump, but I'm also not really sure if that's the type of jump I'd want to have to these next big level consoles. Like, I'm not 100% sure myself. So I want to hear your thoughts on all this down below if you guys even want to get this. But there's kind of a few other bigger things to note too. Is that when we kind of go to the specs themselves, they are trying to maybe push up to the 8K 30, and that would be the next big industry standard. Now, 4K 60 standard for most games seems really nice, and I do think 1080p 60 is like almost very obsolete at this point, where I don't think a PS5 Pro is going to be there. So 8K 30 would be huge to go and see, and that would probably make a lot of justifications for the Pro. Now, that did kind of happen too for the PS4 Pro, where I think they try to make that big more push to 4K gaming, so they might try to do that same standard, try to go and somewhat normalize like these really high resolution monitors, because don't forget, Sony also does go and sell 8K monitors, I believe, at this point, and that'll probably be the next big industry standard upcoming the next 4 years. I would say 4K as of right now is probably the industry standard, 8K is the enthusiast, and I do think, like I said, in the next like 3 to 5 years, depending on how like long it takes for adoption and price points, 8K will probably be the next big one, so it makes sense. You in the next like maybe year from now, 2 years from now, you get the 8K. It becomes like the big boy. If you are a really big TV enthusiast, you go get the 8K. And if not, then you sit on the PS5 Pro for 2 or 3 years, and as 8K prices go down, you can then go make that nice like transition over to 8K itself. Like, I mean, the specs will still be there, whether you go wait a year or 3 years, either way. And as well, that also kind of open up their trying to normalize the next big standards, because that would be kind of big. Like, I think that's huge either way. Now, obviously, they're going to have better, like, RAM, which will make games run a little bit quicker and load a little bit better, and obviously better AMD, like, either, like, for their graphics cards and such, will make everything a little bit nicer. But it's fun to see. Like, we're actually now seeing specific specs, and the specs do seem at least somewhat big. Like, they're bigger than expected, and I do think if we can push games like GTA 6 at a pretty solid 4K, that'll be a really good selling point. I really think that will be the number one, and I still want to make a proper video talking about that. But, yeah, people are looking at this where, like, they're kind of trying to see these numbers numbers. We're still seeing a lot of rumors where it's not 100%, but either way, it is going to be a really big graphical improvement. We also made that video a few days ago discussing how AI and AI integrations also might be tying into the PS5 Pro. So you have the better specs, also tying with better software, and this might lead to some really cool stuff in the future, and is getting me excited for the PS5 Pro. Like, I hope it comes out, and I hope it does well. So we're going to be on the lookout for that. But I appreciate you guys all very much for watching. Give me your thoughts and comments down below. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We do have the Twitter and Twitch room down below, and of course, sign up for that. We will get a bunch of free stock and money if you guys want to. Just instantly sell it or draw it, do whatever. And I appreciate y'all so much for watching in the first place.